one of the issues is that for the longest of time, the identity of a man has always been go to work and provide for your family. So over time, the woman then became like, but if family is not one of your key priorities, and in terms of presence, not finance, in terms of presence, why don't I also have the ability to also find identity in that thing that you find is your identity? So over time, the woman is like, I also need to work. Over time, I also want to find another thing that's making you so happy that you're not here.
I love Rabbi Manus Friedman. You know, Mina, my theory has always been, and maybe I'll speak from an African perspective and recent history. The man is meant to provide. Figo ngamla, sesihamba siye and now mom sesele yedwa. And ubaba useyajola useshadile eGoli ngoba phela usethola isiketi. So now mama's like, I have no choice, but I have to provide. And you take away so many of those men, because I think the same has happened in America where a lot of black men are incarcerated, are jailed. So the women have no choice but to rise up. And after a while, they realize, I'm trying to rise, but men have created this system where only men can. So then they start fighting. Not because their default is, I would like to. But that's me. Yeah. Manus Friedman might be right. Why is your identity this? And the counter argument could be, Namadoda being like, but why is she the only one who gets to raise the babies? I also want to change nappies. I also want to play with my baby.
How many men want to do that?
In the modern world, because we've largely been feminized, a big chunk, myself included, for my first 2-3 kids, I had to undergo a journey of rewiring my brain to change the narrative. And today, I'm in the process of trying to be an old school man. It's not natural. I'm trying to be an old school man. It wasn't natural for me. I was raised largely by a single mom, and I wanted to be the best mother I can be for my kids with a penis. And I've struggled because the mothers of my kids, they were raised differently. So they don't understand this dynamic. And even when I complain, people are like, oh, Mfethu, come on. But they don't understand why I want to be a mother as well. It's like, hey, Baba, just be a man. Provider, you know, when you can play with your kids, but if une pain, get a nanny who's a woman. That's it.
So how you were raised, or the effect of being raised by a single mother made you want to become something for your kids?
What else could it be? Because if that's what a good parent is, and if you're hearing from your mother and all other women out there that, hey, oh, babin useless, abeko, all you want to do is be that. There's a quote that goes, the thing you're searching for most in your romantic relationship is the thing that you never got growing up. That's why you'll find a girl who is very touchy-feely, wants to kiss and hug all the time. It's probably because she never got that from her dad. The girl who got that from her dad is chilled. So the thing that you lack is the thing that you will crave the most, or the thing that you've been taught to lack. So similarly, as I'm raised as a young boy, all I've been told is, this is where older men have failed. That's going to be the one thing where I'm going to excel. Your father never provided. Your father was never around. So excel and being around. But in that, I end up potentially losing what normal traditional men were doing.
So where do you want to excel in? Yeah.
You're asking currently?
Yeah. Is there a particular thing you've identified? Like, ish. And you may not be intentional about it, but you are seeing it, that you're doing it naturally.
I wanted us to speak about movies, man.
Oh, movies, yeah.
You know? But this is an important conversation, but it's a layered conversation.
Yeah.
Because I've been on a journey,
yeah.
You know. I was raised as a modern, civilized black man. Mm-hmm. I believed in 50-50 and all those nice things. I grew up in the age of Abo Beyonce, Destiny's Child, and all these girl groups. And up until I got to varsity and maybe after I graduated, that's what I wanted to be. It was when I got a lot of pushback from women who wanted you to peche, spoil them, take them out. I'm like, why? We're both students, we're both struggling. Why are you not paying your part of the bill? that you start realizing that the world doesn't really want that. You have children, you realize your partner, been push up 50-50 at university. All of a sudden now she's expecting you to be a man.
Yeah.
And you're like, for what? So no indoor must. You're like, no, Baba. Me and this girl say, are equally on. The girl herself is like, are equally on to Baba. So then I started going on a journey of being pro-masculine, pro-male. I did the research. I spoke to Amatimer. Today we've obviously got the social media guys, the Jordan Petersons and the Andrew Tates, the Kevin Samuels, may he rest in peace. But with the LGBTQI plus community and with the concept of transgenderism and a genderless society, I've been forced to take a step back and think. I used to have fights with a lady that I admire very much, Mandisa Kanyile. She's a GBV activist. She used to speak about a genderless future and she wants to raise her son genderless. And I used to get angry. And I was like, what does that even mean? And then up to very recently, I was still on that tip of a man is a man, a woman is a woman. I've listened to some of the conversations and I watched a documentary, Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire in America. And in that documentary, there is, I believe she's a therapist who breaks down the difference between the terms. Because we're speaking language.
Yeah.
Language is the one thing that's messing us up. We're speaking language and then we're speaking biology. Biologically, you're born either with a penis or a vagina. Generally, we're not going to speak about people that are born funny. Penis or vagina. The other thing you're born with is hormones, which as you get older and you go through things like puberty or whatever, your hormones alter.
Yeah.
You get more testosterone as umfana. You must understand, umfana and ntombazane are naked together.
Yeah.
Got no hair, no. As you reach puberty and you go beyond, all of a sudden you start getting facial hair and you start getting taller and you start getting a deeper voice. But for the woman, she remains childlike, soft voice and high estrogen, high testosterone. That's biology. Penis, vagina, testosterone, estrogen. Now we come with the labels. Man.
Yeah.
Man is someone with penis. And we assume with testosterone. Woman, vagina, estrogen. As we move, we realize there are men with low testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when you get on a sports field, the big guy who's hairier than you has a deeper voice. Uyakubamba kushaya phansi. Wena ngoba uzacile umncane, ivoice yakhe iweak. Sizothi istabane. Awubheke lokho. Low testosterone, maybe high estrogen. On the other side, we have amatomboys, amacheri. Amacheri wona ke, she's got a deep voice. Mhlawumbe unentshebe, kodwa she's got a vagina. So now it becomes complicated. Is this a man? Is this a woman? Well, penis, vagina, sure. Testosterone, estrogen, now we're not sure anymore. Now people have come to say, I want to identify as a man and as a woman. Why? No, because as much as I have a vagina, I want to play rugby. I want to be the provider. I want to lift weights. Ngifuna nje ukuchilla namachita. Sibe grand shy beer. But you have a vagina. It's like, who decided that the people with the vaginas can't play rugby? Abakwazi ukushaya ibhiya, abakwazi ukugqoka isigqoko la babe amapantsula. Who decided that? Humans did. So they're trying to challenge those labels. And in doing that now, it speaks to what you are asking when you are speaking about identity. Where a woman says, I would like the identity of a man, or certain aspects of the identity of a man. And to what you're asking me now, what do I want for myself and my kids? I want to be the best human being I can be to provide the greatest tools they can get. Are those masculine tools? Probably not. I want my sons, not probably not. I want it to be a combination. I want to take my sons to the shooting range to learn how to use guns. I want them to lift weights and to be strong. But I also want to have the ability to teach my sons how to be soft. Because the world sometimes requires that. And that I also want to be able to do with my daughters. I want to be able to have conversations about their menstrual cycle, their periods, the reproductive system, what happens when they become a mom. You know, maybe we can have a tea party. I want to be the best of both worlds, and that's me. But that's because I'm trying to become the best version of human. But now for society as a whole, the question becomes, what must a penis owner be? What must a vagina owner be? And must it be what was prescribed back in the day? And if you're a single parent, what then?
Sis, you keep smiling, man. What's your opinion, man?
I don't know. I think as Penuel is speaking, like a lot is going through my mind, you know. I think for me also what stands out is that, like, I guess when we talk about the masculine man, right, the reference we have is maybe the traditional man who is the figurehead in the house, right? And then the woman is subservient. She's, I guess maybe he's heard in the house, he's also seen, but his woman and his children, they are seen, less heard, right?
Okay.
So I'm trying to think, like, if we are to have a balance, right? Because over time, things have changed. And so the world is also wanting to open up to a lot more identities, right? So I can exist as a man who wants to stay at home and take care of his kids, right? But because also in the world that we live in, you know, like patriarchy also is defined as, you know, like as men holding the central power, not just in identity in terms of masculinity and femininity, but also economically, right? So your power also is in the money. But as a man who wants to be at home and raise his kids, you know, I sacrifice the income. Am I still like a man who can have a voice, right? A strong enough voice so that my woman wants to follow what I'm saying without the money, you know? So it's like, it's very conflicting for me thinking about it, like, because because I've only known the masculine man to be a particular kind of man. I cannot reconcile all the other complexities and nuances. You know, like, yeah, it's very difficult for me because mali, there's a certain command I have. You know, there's a certain amount of command I have. But when I have the money, you know, it's almost as if I don't have to say much for my commands to be followed.
And you see, like that in a lot of relationships, I'm actually the past struggling with that. That when I have money, in fact, the relationship is smooth, man. There's less arguments. It's Netflix and chill. It's amazing.
I have a huge concern with where we are in the world currently in narrowing down.
I wanna. There's a word that we keep on using.
Yeah.
The world. Throughout this conversation for the past 5 minutes or something. Who dictates that? You know, because the world are humans, I get. It's not like
the word.
The world.
No, you said there's a word we keep using.
The world. And that world, the word that you guys keep on using, or the words, is the world. The world is moving in this direction. The world is saying, the world is dictating. What is that thing? Because the world is made up of humans. It's not like it's in isolation or aliens are coming here that dictate that we must be LGBT. I want to find my own identity. What is this thing at the world? Is it specific countries, what they say is there, and then it's done? We leave it at that.
You know, one of my concerns with this platform that we've built, you and I and the gents, Q, Sizwe, Khomotso, is asking, number one, rhetorical questions, and number two, asking questions we already have answers to. And I think at some point we're going to have to try and find a solution to that. Because it's good for interviews.
Yeah.
But we know people that watch some of these things, some of them don't understand. Oh, but this guy, does he not know? It's like he does know, but he needed to ask. the question.
So that many other people know. So it's
Yeah.
not like everyone that watches the platform understands these things because they seem too obvious.
You know, I've watched certain conversations. I'm not going to speak about podcasts, conversations just in life, where the conversation is so intelligent that it assumes an intelligence of the audience. You know, there's a movie called Ex Machina. I don't know who the director is, but it's one of my favorite movies. And I wanted us to speak about movies.
Okay, yeah.
But we'll park it to later. It's fine. But in Ex Machina, when you watch reviews and a breakdown of the storyline, you realize that the writers and the directors, they assume an intelligent audience. And that's why in the way they present the movie, for people that are not that smart, they won't enjoy it. They'll be like, the movie are boring. You know, we used to watch dramas when we were young, like, EP action.
Yeah.
And then when you get older, you realize, hey, you're feeling me powerful, Baba. So I sometimes find myself wondering whether I should ask some of those questions, knowing that I already have certain answers, or if I should just hit. And then rhetorical questions. Sorry, I was just thinking out loud. I'm gonna say two things. The first one was the one from Musizwe. I have a concern with where the world is currently and the fact that we've narrowed down certain things to money. Because, you know, we had a conversation with a gentleman the other day, and he was saying for him, a man's identity at its base and its core is providing provision. And provision in 2022 is money. Provision obviously is resources. Can you get us food? But today it's money. And if we're going to say it's been narrowed down to money, but now the money thing is not only for men. It's not only a patriarchal thing. Now women can get the money. Does that mean a woman automatically becomes a man? And does that mean now, to Caesar's question, if I don't have money, does my masculinity fall away? Does it no longer matter that I'm tall, big, strong, I can fight? It's like, you don't need to fight, Baba. If you have
Why
money,
are you fighting? We've
you
got
can hire my
AA,
police.
security, fidelity. Why are you fighting?
So I have a huge problem with that as an identity departure point.
Yeah.
And we can unpack it. The world we speak about, it's not a rhetorical question, but I know you're asking the question already knowing the answer. That's why I was just thinking, should we ask those questions or should you have just gone with, but Pen, sis, you know that it's not the world. You know it's an elite group of people that have agendas and that can push and pull in the system. You know. But you ask the question because it's nicer than when I answer. Because if it's an interview and you're my guest, it makes you sound intelligent.
In fact, you know, when you speak to a lot of people, you know, that thing seems very obvious for the six of us here in this room.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee you, Mfana, most people, they don't know. They don't understand what do you mean when you say the world. No, we're fine, we've got education. No one is telling us what to do. Like, it's not it's not a stupid question.
No, it's
rhetorical
not
question.
It's not a stupid question. It's not rhetorical.
Yeah.
I was just thinking out loud.
I get what you're saying.
I sometimes have to wonder whether to ask those questions or whether to hit.
You must hit.
I remember I asked a question on another interview, and there was one or two comments saying, "How about Pen? Did you not know this?" And in my head, I'm like, I obviously know it, but if the guest is here,
why not?
If you're the CEO of ESCOM, and I'm like, please break it down for us. How is electricity generated? I know that. But you know, since electricity is transmitted and I'm making you look good, but now, anyways, I was just thinking out loud.
So,
should I still answer?
Yeah, the world, yeah, definitely, man. There are a lot of people who don't know what the world is.
The world we live in is run by systems. A system is, what's a system? Let's call it an institution. Let's call it a building. I think that probably makes it much easier. The world is run by certain buildings. And those buildings have certain people in them who make decisions at the highest level. And then it filters all the way down. We have got family structures. Your dad is meant to be the head of the house, your mom as well. Then if you live tribally, you've got your Induna and those people. You move all the way up with what government? Our government reports to a world government, which is called the United Nations. The United Nations, they sit with these world leaders, they make decisions. They come down, Cyril Ramaphosa calls a family meeting. The United Nations have decided and whatever, and then it comes down. And then we call that the world.
Yeah.
We see the United Nations at the highest levels At that same level, you've got the World Economic Forum. These are buildings. I need to explain. Your house, where your father's king, government, where we call parliament, the United Nations have got their own buildings, because that makes it much easier. Above those buildings, there are other people that sit in other buildings. We don't speak about those. But those are normally very rich, very powerful, hyper-intelligent human beings. They are the ones that whisper in the ears of people that sit in the United Nations. And those people have agendas. And they have money and resources, and they have the ability to kill certain leaders that don't act. They won't kill them directly. They'll say there was a coup in the country. The rebels had an uprising. Where did the rebels get the guns? Where did they get the money? We don't know. We know. Someone sent them there to go and do that because you're not following protocol. So when we speak about the world is moving in, we're speaking about a building somewhere. It's a lot of buildings, but just for people to...
Yeah.
There's a building somewhere where a group of people sit and they decide in what direction do we want the world to move. And once they've decided that, because the world is run by systems, they then influence the other buildings. We'll call it a school, a church, a movie theater, a publishing house that releases books, a building that houses social media, a building that houses the news and mainstream media from the top down. And then all of a sudden we're having conversations. We have to speak about lesbians and gays and how do you know your son is actually meant to be a boy or a girl? What does it mean to be black? Hey, hashtag Black Lives Matter. Bring back our girls. No, I'm woke. There was a guy who made a video. I forgot his name on TikTok. The guy says, isn't it funny that as more people are now questioning Christianity and mainstream religions, African spirituality is rising? And he says, where did that data come from? Why now people don't want to follow Jesus, but they want to follow Heru? Why do people want to speak about Enki? Where is that coming from? And he's like, if you look at it, these are similar characters. You want to say, I'm African, I now want to. And it's like, no, the people who are running the world decided, since they want to leave this thing, they don't like it, pump new data. Give them King T'Challa, Black Panther, Wakanda. Right? They want representation. But the dynamic of his kingdom and how he operates is exactly the same as the past. But since they just wanted a black guy, like release a movie with a black Jesus. It's still going to pacify them. Nothing is going to change. Because fundamentally in life, it's resources, it's land, it's violence. But this African spirituality will keep you away from that because it pacifies you further. But anyways, so the world, to answer your question, is a group of people that sit in a building somewhere and get to decide, and then they dictate to the highest government, the UN and the World Economic Forum, and then it trickles down to our governments, and then from our governments it trickles into the schooling syllabus, into what religious leaders say, what our traditional leaders will say, and then it infiltrates our homes. Where now your mom and your dad, your mom is saying, no, but I want to be empowered. In this house, I feel oppressed. And what? And your father's saying, but as a father, I deserve access to my son. And it's like, Baba, that was not your decision. It's like, but everyone in society is saying it. They're saying it because there are people that decided and it filtered down. That's all. What are your thoughts on the masculinity discussion and even on the question you asked to Sis about, he was laughing when I was speaking about the labels. Biology, no, let me break it down again.
Yeah.
Private part, which is biology, your penis and your vagina. Hormones, testosterone and estrogen. And then human labels of man and woman, of which no one is questioning the biology.
Yeah.
No one is questioning the hormones. But we can affect the hormones through supplements. You can take testosterone, steroids, you can take estrogen injections. Now it's this thing of a man must provide, a man must wear pants, a woman must raise the kids. That's where people are saying, no, I want to stay at home and raise the kids. Yeah. But you have a penis, but you have testosterone. So what?
You know, if there's one thing that I've realized about the world, evolution in general is...
You believe in evolution?
Yeah, but not in the context of science.
Okay.
I believe
you mean the changing and
changing of times in general.
Okay.
Yeah. So, once you get to realize that there's no group that's homogeneous in the world, once you fundamentally understand that not all black people must behave the same, not all white people are like this, not all Jewish people are like this. Obviously, there are certain groups of people that are making it behave in a certain way because there's an economic benefit. I'm really at a point where, the more you grow, the more you realize you want to live a certain way. I'm really at a point where, for me, there's someone that has a penis that can impregnate another woman that can.
By umchita, you mean a man? Because we're speaking English.
Yeah, a man.
Okay.
A man. He can, his sperm can impregnate another woman, or some don't. And remember, whenever we have these conversations, I'm speaking from a majority point of view. So don't come at me and tell me that, but there's 500,000 of them who can't. I'm not speaking about them. There's a billion of us. So those ones, I can't speak on their behalf. I'm speaking from what I have seen to work.
Biology.
Yeah. So I base my life on what I have seen work in front of me. So these other arguments, I don't entertain them anymore. Back in the day, I used to argue with people, get blocked on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, in fact, what works for you and your wife? Or you and your girlfriend and your boyfriend? Like, really, what is it? Is it a boy that's genderless? Is it a girl that's genderless? As long as it works for you. What I don't want is for you to dictate to me how I should live. That's my biggest problem. Don't tell me how to live.
Do you understand the danger of that liberal way of thinking?
It's very dangerous. Because you're forcing all of us to live a certain way.
Now, I'm talking about you saying whatever works for you, it's fine. Do you understand the danger of you saying it's fine?
The problem is we are too far gone for any of us to challenge it and bring some sort of change. That's why I'm at that point. There's a friend of mine, Unels, OM Films. Shout out to the peoples there. She went to go see, some Disney movie, man. And two boys were kissing. And she felt offended as the old age. She's like, no.
I think it's Lightyear.
I don't know.
Buzz Lightyear.
Probably.
It's a Toy Story break-off.
I don't watch. Yeah.
That movie is banned in a couple of countries.
She's like, but why don't they have a sign of LGBTQI in the thing? Like PG-13, PG-16.
But it's not offensive.
No. Because many people are having the debate of the idea of gay and lesbian, is it right or wrong? You as the filmmakers must say, guys, okay, there is a clear debate that's taking place. We cannot ignore it. Put the sign. Why did you put the sign of PG-18?
But you realize in the country it was made, it's not a debate.
Fair. But wait, are you distributing the movie? You're distributing the movie in other countries where it is a touch and go. It is some sort of a touch and go. My thing is, if you have the ability to put PG-13, because you realize that, guys, we cannot show kids violence in from an early age. We cannot, because that does something to them at a certain age. So we did PG-13, 16, nudity, 18. Why not put in LGBTQI?
But that's you coming with your values.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming with your values.
Yeah.
They have their values, and to them it's not a debate. If your country doesn't believe in it, like the Middle East and parts of Asia, that movie is not allowed to be flighted there, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have to debate. They don't have to put a sticker there and say, no, this has got gay content, be careful. They just said, our country's value system does not agree with this, so it's a no.
Mm-hmm.
In their country, it's not a debate. It's a this is what we've all agreed, or the majority has agreed. We're saying this is fine.
Yeah.
It's like, I was about to make a bad example. But let's speak about interracial. I think that's milder. Interracial relationships or interreligious.
Yeah.
So in a place like America, you'll have a movie where a Muslim girl falls in love with a white Jewish boy and their families fight and it's fine.
Yeah.
You send that movie to Israel, you send that movie to Palestine, you send it to the Middle East. They're like, but why didn't you warn us that this movie touches on religious things and what? And you'll be like, but why must you be careful? There's a religious content. It's like, but in our country, it's fine. In your country, if you feel this movie is problematic, by all means. All I was saying is, if we're saying, and you're right about far gone, but we can still pull it back.
Okay.
If we're saying, understanding that society is influenced, that whatever works for you, as long as you're happy, in my house.
Yeah.
And then your children and your wife, they leave and they go into the school with all of these other people. Your wife goes into the work environment with all of these other women. They get infiltrated and they bring it back home. All because you are like, hey, baba, let us see again. Musugu again and watch your children and your wife bazo again, and it's going to come into your house and you won't understand why you're fighting with your woman later on. GBV, you men are trash. Nami. Yeah, but you were. because you didn't have a standpoint. And you didn't speak out and say, no, I mean, I don't agree with this fundamentally. And I want my people to know, and all the other men and all the other women say the same thing. Because I can tell you now, and I've said it before, in this country, South Africa, South Africans are tribalist. We can blame the apartheid government. We're tribalist. We're a tribalist nation. We're a very racist nation, not just from whites, but from blacks, from Indians, even from coloreds. We're a very xenophobic nation, largely to black foreigners, Africans. We are very homophobic as a nation. But we have political leaders who don't hear from us. They claim it's a democracy. They listen to the United Nations and whatever agenda they were told. And then it comes to us and we say, we are a multicultural rainbow nation who's welcoming of... And then you get surprised when there's gender-based violence, when someone who's gay was killed, when someone votes for a certain political leader because it's Umzulu. And it's because we're lying. And it's because we're not aligned. Some of these other countries, they're honest. They're like, hey, we don't believe in this stuff and it's in our laws.
So that's the issue of what democracy, or the way we run democracy in South Africa.
South Africa's got a sham of a democracy. The democracy that... I had an interesting conversation with the mate, Tebogo Shabalala. He said democracy is a political system for the privileged.
Yeah.
For the educated. You shouldn't be allowed to engage in democracy as an individual until you've passed a certain threshold of, we're not going to call it intelligence, of education. So that when you're like, who are you voting for and why, you can articulate. It's the same way you don't get onto a road and start driving. You have to go through a driving license test. But we give an uneducated, miseducated, heavily broken and defeated, traumatized people democracy. I mean, even if you were to ask, what is democracy in all the official languages, as an example, what does it mean? You've got 25 million South Africans that live on tribal land in this country who understand Koni Chief Induna, Koni Nkos, that's going to live forever. They believe in that. It's what they've lived on. It's what we've got. Even in the home, you've got a father or mother that you listen to that tell you what to do. And then you tell them one man, one vote, whatever you want. It's your you're like, no, man. What do you mean? What do you mean whatever I want? Right now, our government, the ANC, have made themselves king. So we're like, it doesn't matter who's there as long as it's ANC. Because we don't believe in democracy. Democracy requires you to be politically literate, and our people are politically illiterate. And the people in power know that, and they keep screaming democracy, but it's not democratic. Because if you were to ask every single South African how they feel, let's put it to a vote. Which languages should be the official languages in this country? I'm telling you now, isiZulu would be number one. You'd get Afrikaans, maybe XXOSA, and English, I think, comes fourth. And it's all we must pick one or two. It would be, if everyone had to pick, if men had to pick, ask every man, do you think women should be allowed to work? Do you think men should lead the household? And men got to vote.
Men are going to say yes.
Men are going to say yes.
Because that's all they know. They don't this thing of evolving.
So the fact that that's not the country we live in, it means it's not democratic. It means they say vote for the kings, the ANC, and then in the ANC they make the decisions, but they don't. The decisions come from the United Nations.
Yeah, for
sure.
Or
the United Nations no, they don't. They come from certain people that sit there with agendas and resources and the reach. And we are not mentally strong enough to be able to challenge these things. That's why we even have platforms, because we're asking so many questions of things that are pretty straightforward. The reality is there's someone out there with an agenda, and I can tell you now very simply, what is their agenda? Their agenda is total power, total control, so that you can serve them.
Isn't that what we all want? At the core of every single human being is for you to be more powerful than other people.
No.
You don't think so?
I would fully disagree. I would believe at the core of every human being is a desire to have inner peace, an ability to provide for yourself or to be provided for. And
to be provided for.
Or to be provided for.
Oh.
To provide for yourself, or you must have some provision, whether it comes from you or someone else. And an ability and a platform where if you are ambitious and able, you should reach the heights of whatever the world allows. That's what people want. I don't think they fundamentally want a desire to dominate others.
Is it?
I think that's people like you and I. And we think other people have it. That's why we get frustrated at stupid people and people that vote a certain way. And it's like, come on, Vetu. It's because they don't have the same mindset. The agenda is simple. We want to dominate and control and have power. and we want to get you to serve us, to retain our power and maybe even grow it to a higher level. The question becomes how? And that normally becomes the fight between the powers that be at the top. Do we make a more masculine society? But if it's more masculine, then the men might uprise. It's like if you are Ramaphosa and you give Upegicele powers over the army, he's going to be the guy to overthrow you. So you need to weaken him. If you are Ramaphosa and there's a United Nations and let's say America dominates there, why would America, the United Kingdom, King Charles, want to Ramaphosa to be self-sufficient and independent? Because he'll come and colonize the United Kingdom. So you need to keep these people weak. So weakness is important. How do you weaken people? Their education system. So they must strive to serve another person. Yo, guys, please congratulate me. I just got a job. Sexually zandla that you're going to serve
Other people.
someone else.
Yeah. Religion.
You want to wear other people's brands, not your own. And you humble to an extent, I won't go in, I won't go Gucci, the medicine that we're fed, constant side effects, constant illness, never a cure. Our family dynamics, where they realized having a strong man and a woman that follows him is dangerous. They saw it with the Islamic nation. We need these people to constantly be at war with each other. And every time they don't have the answers, who do they come to? Us. The woman is like, help me, my husband is beating me. The man is like, help me, my woman is keeping me from my kids. Oh, so you guys want us to help you? Yeah, I'm going to the courts. I'm taking it to court. Oh, hey. You guys can't resolve it on your own. You need us. And that legal system is built in such a way that it doesn't build a family together. The courts should say, Mama, Baba, we will do everything in our power to empower you so you never have to come back here. But they'll never do that. They'll be like, if you still have problems, please come back. Same with the doctor. Try this. If you're still sick, come back. If you have side effects, I've got other medicine. That's the medicine. Food that we eat weakens us. We don't get the best quality food, especially as Black South Africans. If you compare us to the West Africans, the Ghanaians and the Nigerians, we are not physically superior. We're not even physically superior to Amapunu in this country. We don't get the best of the food. The men were taken out of the homes, Black men. Our women were given women empowerment and feminism. Our children are being taught, your father's backwards, he's a barbarian, he's uncivilized. Does your father do this? What kind of a man? Your own children don't respect you. How are we ever going to build anything strong? So that is their agenda and it works for them. Because your wife wants to go and work for them. You want to go work for them. Your kids want to go work for them. And then you empower their hospitals, their pharmacies, their schools, their whatever. And they're happy. And at any given time, like with COVID lockdown, they proved how powerful they are. They shut down the world. We didn't see places being bombed and they shut down the world. They're like, nigga, we still got it. And they gave themselves a pat on the back and it works for them. They don't mind casualties and collateral damage. People die, there'll be wars. The issue is there are people that are rising up that have figured this out and they are not podcasters. They're not people on Twitter. It's people with the ability to convince masses to be like, let's build a strong border around our country. And let's see if we can find some uranium. And we won't tell anyone, but we'll start slowly building nuclear weapons. And let's get our boys to start playing rugby and lifting weights. And when they ask why, you're like, our population is unhealthy. We just want them to be stronger. And you get the women to join guns. Why? We want them to be able to defend themselves from men, GBV. But you know what you're doing? You're building an army of your society. And after a while, you've accumulated resources. You've taught your people how to grow their own food. All of a sudden, you close it off. And you say, this is not Korea. And if you come to us, we'll bomb the fuck out of you. And you go to the Middle East with all your oil money. And you buy up military bases around the world. And as a Russia, you have nuclear weapons. And you have an economy that can self-sustain. And not only does it self-sustain, the rest of the world needs your gas.
You have no chance.
They need your oil. So the fights at the top become that. And then, we're asked to pick sides. Oh, it's so bad what Putin and the Russians are doing. Who told you that? Going back to movies. The movie, The Avengers Infinity War.
I don't watch a lot of movies. Funny enough, people think we all watch movies.
Can we go into movies now?
Yeah, we're going to go into movies.
Can we go now?
Yeah, we can go in movies.
I know you love masculinity, Chaz.
No, I love real chats.
So can we go into movies?
Yeah, absolutely. I think movies, they're a way to normalize a lot of things in society.
Normalize?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Such a problematic word.
Ukwenza izinto zijwayeleke. you know.
Is it movies or media?
Yeah, movies fall under media.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
I think also what movies have the ability to suspend, at least for a time being, your beliefs. You know, I could be a Sizwe who's a Muslim, but when I watch a movie, I don't feel like a Muslim watching a movie.
Yeah.
You know, I'm seeing a superhero movie, and there are certain things I can experience in that movie, i.e., masculinity changing, right, in today's day and age. I think one of the most interesting superheroes for me was, what's that movie, Gonji, with Will Smith? Hancock, right? I thought it still bothers me, that movie, because I wonder, you know, if they could have presented Hancock as someone who, I don't know, it's like he couldn't, you know, like, it's like he had to be this guy who was self-destructive.
An alcoholic.
An alcoholic, you know. I just couldn't, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
Yeah. And it's done on purpose.
yeah, you know, and I felt like surely he could have been challenged by better things, you know, than
But that comes through in the movie. You do realize in the progress of the movie, they want to make him a good person.
Sure,
Because all of us are meant to be annoyed that he's alcoholic, he destroys buildings, he's an asshole, he doesn't give a fuck, he swears.
Is the issue that he's black?
No, it's not. It's
Okay.
not the issue. But
Alright.
for me, it's the fact that here's this being who possesses so much power, right? Yet his vice is such a humanly vice, and I guess that's how they humanized him, right? But I just couldn't understand. It was just too simple for me. Like, here's this person who could wreak havoc in an entire city, that by just his absence, you know, like as a superhero.
Yeah.
Ubanjwe yini, utshwala.
But is
And some kind of, you know, like udila ne depression, and there's this almost this thing between him and this woman, you know, like this presence of this woman.
I love that. I
Weakens
love that
it.
in the movie, by the way.
Sure.
He's weakened by a woman. Every time he gets close to this woman, he starts losing his powers
So she has to leave.
for him to be strong.
but guys, isn't that the power of that movie though? The fact that with all of these vices that make us weak, like literally every single one of us, we have that. That's the power of it. Or is it because you go to the cinema wanting to watch a superhero movie, and then you've got this idea of what this guy has to do? He has to win and conquer at every single battle. Isn't that what makes that movie powerful?
So I'm a big movie connoisseur. I'm a big movie fanatic. I don't know if you've seen Hancock. I'm glad Usiz is raising it, because Hancock it's not a movie that's discussed much. And I think it's potentially a movie that could really open a great conversation about many things. Part of them being, yes, Will Smith is black, Baju Coconut, and is this black superhero or is Dawa, and he's attracted to this white woman, Charlize Theron, who when they together, he gets weak. She's moving on with her life. She's gotten married, but this black man who's an alcoholic is weakened by a black woman. Part of it is this concept of being primed to a point where if you watch a superhero movie and it's a little Muslim old woman who's the superhero, you're like, no, man. But superheroes don't look like this. Who taught you that? We've been primed, and that's why when you see a superhero in that vein, there's an uncomfortable feeling inside you. But it's like at some point when they started introducing black superheroes, of which I think at a point Wesley Snipes was it with Blade.
Blade, yeah.
Would say this is fresh, this is different. But then also, what type of a black superhero is it? With Wakanda and the Black Panther, he's a very diplomatic, very white friendly, gets along with the West. You know, he almost has to hide his nation because it's so powerful. Otherwise, the West would have come in, and they do try to come in and destroy it and take the minerals. But that dynamic of he had to be a good black out into the world to even protect his superhero-ness. The point I wanted to make earlier before we interrupt was about Thanos. I even forgot my point. If you look at the movies of Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, there's a character they call Thanos, who is the bad guy.
Favorite villain.
I think I was speaking in the sense of Putin, Kim Jong-un, these bad guys in the world, Gaddafi, Nabo, Saddam Hussein. Thanos is a bad guy, probably one of the worst bad guys in movies, worst in terms of devastation, because he goes across universes and murdering, and he murders 50% of all life. Another movie being The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan, with Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Why are you and I watching the same movies?
You said you don't watch movies.
Oh, it's okay.
Anyways, so when you look at the character builds of these movies, I start thinking back on Polo Yang, with Van Damme. Start thinking of Otong Po. Some of these guys who we were fascinated with as a young kid, but you didn't understand why. Why Simtandu Polo? But it's like Polo's the bad guy. In Thanos' case, the Joker was more of a social experiment, trying to prove to Batman that human beings are innately flawed people and they care about themselves. They don't even care about you. Thanos got a lot of people to introspect on what is a villain. Because the whole objective or the whole departure point of Thanos was, the reason I'm causing this devastation is because the world is in a bad place. And I've been watching people suffer and be hungry. I've watched kids grow up in famine, and I've looked at all the potential solutions. Let's create jobs, let's build industry, and I realized the only way for us to enjoy the abundance is to get rid of some people. If you're carrying in this one loaf of bread, 10 kids, and you only get one slice, Thanos is saying, let's kill five of the kids. Then the kids that are left they won't be thin. Bazosha, 2 slices each. If we kill even more, they can have more bread and you can have strong kids. He was saying literally, let's do that. And human beings do that in certain spaces. They'll say, no, but the wild animals here are killing the vegetation, so let's kill some of them. No, let's move. These dogs are killing the what. No, these rats are. We do that. So Thanos was saying, the problem with the world is actually humans. So if we can remove 50% of humans, the ones that are left are going to thrive. And he goes about this journey. And when you're left behind, and when you do the character development, you realize the best villain is the one where, if you were to see the world from his perspective, he is a hero. And he's the bad guy, Scarface, Al Pacino. I'll be the bad guy. You guys will thank me later. I'll be the colonizer. South Africans will thank me later when they have technology and electricity. They won't like me now. I'll be the bad guy, Ushaga Zulu. I'll unite the tribes and create a Zulu kingdom. They won't like me now, but they'll like me later. So when we're told that Putin and Kim are bad people, the question is, who said that and why, and from what perspective are you judging that person?
I guess people are with the thing of Thanos, they're like, fit. Because you have emotion, I think that's another thing that human beings, we've got this emotion. You feel something for that 5 that is going to die, or that 50% of that population. You feel something for them that, fit. Why should they die?
You've watched Avengers?
Yeah, I have. I've seen all of it. I get the rationale. I mean, I believe in, you see, I'm the worst person to ask these types of things because I believe in what Thanos would definitely, I believe in what he's doing.
You watched the Penuel show?
PMS was the best.
One of the episodes, sorry to disturb you. One of the episodes, they doing a skit of Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe. And in that skit, his minister tells him, hey, we've got high unemployment. And then Mugabe says, okay, bring all the unemployed here. And they're like, oh, here they are. And then he says, I kill all of them.
Yeah.
And then he's like, unemployment solved.
It's what you were speaking about the other time. The idea that let's all come to Jozi. If you fail, maybe after 5-6 years, let's put a time frame. If it didn't work out, go back to Makai.
Get deposit.
We don't need you here. Because here's the land of milk and honey. Here's the place of hard work. And if you feel that it's not for you, go back. Because right now, I'm at depression clinic, hospitals, because you can't survive here. So leave.
Crime increases.
Exactly. So leave. So Thanos is like, I'll take it another step. Yababulala. Then it goes to...
And he doesn't even pick the poor. That's the other thing that makes people feel it's okay. If he kills the poor, we're all angry. He killed the poor. Thanos is saying it's going to be random.
Yeah.
So rich, poor, black, white.
Out.
Shame.
I like that idea. It makes a lot of sense. But because human beings have emotion, we feel for these other people that are going to die. And it's like, And someone said this thing yesterday. I was listening to something on the radio. But Ikigai, the book, Japanese.
Finding your purpose.
Finding your purpose. They speak about therapy. And they've got this story where they've got a lady, the husband passed away. And the lady is like crying, like, yo, my man passed away, blah, 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 blah. And the therapist asked the lady that, look, would you have loved it if you died? It's like, no, I wouldn't want that because they're going to suffer. They're going to suffer without me being here. It's like, then, just mourn them because they're in a better place now. So rather than fair to this idea of us feeling emotion for people, sometimes we need to park it on the side because someone living is better. But now it poses the question of, if you feel like you failed in the world, should you commit suicide then? Because things are not working out. Leave,
Yeah.
You realize we're recording an episode, and depending on the answers, this episode is going to be removed.
Oh, I forgot that.
I mean,
no, but the thing
we'll talk about it.
The thing of Thanos is that
You're asking a very loaded question.
No, like
if you feel you have failed in life, should we be fine with people committing suicide?
I think we need to get to that point.
What's failure?
What you defined you. When as you're like, this thing is not working out. For my job interview, I'm depressed in Tata Mapilisi. The world is not working out for me. The world requires too much hard work. And I'm not that. Yazin, I'm out.
I wanted to touch on before Sis speaks. I don't know if I did. I might have. The normalization and the power of movies and media. And the fact that Hollywood has become the greatest propaganda machine. Because the reality is we do mimic what we see. So if you are an Islamic giant and you're constantly watching Christian ideology movies, sooner rather than later, you'll be quoting David and Goliath and Noah and Samson and Solomon. And it's like, but you're not even Christian. You're like, hey, wait to the movies I watch. So you're starting to be conditioned in how to behave, how to carry yourself in the family, what's right and wrong. Who are the heroes? The hero must be Captain America, blonde, white man. He's going to save us. He has to save us. No, the black guy has arrived. This one is not. So it's very, very dangerous. But I think Hancock actually needs to be considered as a movie. Failure and suicide.
There's so many things we're talking about. Yeah, Mrs. You were saying about suicide failure?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the suicide thing is really complex, I think it's an internal thing, Like, I don't think I feel like there are certain things in life that we can't put rulers to. We can't measure, I guess, whether or not like this would warrant you killing yourself. Because and I say this because it's like I'm 1 and 2 about it because it's such a complex thing. Because I also cannot put myself in a place where I can imagine what it's like to want to die. I think about living every single day because I'm still breathing, because this is what I know, how to breathe, even without thinking about breathing. So for someone who then wants to say, I want to kill myself, I'm torn because, one, you can never completely isolate yourself in life, right? I think, you can exit one kind of society, but you enter some other kind of society, whether a microcosmic society. So you could leave this normal world of living and go off the grid, right? But you're entering some kind of society off the grid. in that society, you will depend on either that nature, because you will depend on something. Man is not sufficient unto himself, right? So I feel like mauthat impilo yakho, it's difficult because on one hand, I find that very courageous, but on the other, I find it very selfish.
Yes. Suicide is a combo of intense bravery and intense cowardice.
I don't think so. It's not selfish. Because...
Are you done?
No.
Sorry. Yeah.
But
Hey, we have to step up.
Sorry, Msizi, first.
Okay, sure. Let me just finish up. Yeah. And I think because, yes, it's courageous on one hand, but there are people opilanabo, you or myself as Caesar might have failed at certain things, but there are many more things that I might have succeeded in other people's lives. I might have brought them joy. They might have, I have a mother and a father.
Your death will destroy them, maybe push them into depression, maybe even suicide themselves.
Yeah, but, I don't know those things because it doesn't, just because I've exited, upila, it doesn't mean, it will either be an alleviation or guzoba, I don't know.
Worse.
Guzoba worse.
I've got so many thoughts and questions. Do you believe in assisted suicide? Because in this country, it's not legal. In other countries, euthanasia and the like. I'm tired. I'm old. I shit on myself. I sing me in my worst. I have cancer. I'm in pain every single day. Why can I not be taken out?
It's interesting what you say, in my grade 11 year of high school. So our business studies teacher used to have this outreach program. So she would take like 2 students from our school to go help out at this hospice. What you're saying now, for me, like the idea of euthanasia came into question because here we were in this hospice, right? And there were these brain dead kids who can't...
They'll never be functional, ever in their
They'll never
existence.
be functional.
They are vegetables.
Right. But here were these people who are holding on to their breath. Because of how they feel about human beings being alive. Yet, these people will never amount to like human beings that can contribute, that can live with us in a normal way, speak, function with us. So it was a little weird for me because it was like, isn't this where we assist them to...
Take them out of their misery.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is it misery?
Well, it's misery in my example of
Sure.
I've got stage 4 cancer and I'm in pain every single day and I'm like, I want out. And Hector, no, in this country, shame. Sorry. And I'm not brave enough to take my life.
But now, Penuel and you're my father.
I've got so many thoughts, man. I want to say them, even though they're not questions. The first one being brain dead kids and the fact that we don't want to kill brain dead kids, but we're comfortable to abort unborn kids who may not be brain dead. That one is fine. We're fine with that. But we're not fine with kids that are obviously messed up, who are a liability unto society. And if you're a liability unto society and you can never add value and you're just sucking from society, what about the very, very poor who rely on welfare and should they be taken out because they are a liability unto society? I watched a movie last night. My sister, Penrose, can go jump because she's the worst person to refer movies. Yes, and she's a liar. She got me to watch Get Out, Jordan Peele. Great movie, life-changing movie that everyone should watch. She lied and said it wasn't a horror.
Yeah, that thing is a horror.
Last night, she makes me watch Midsummer. Midsummer is directed by Ari Aster, I think, who directed Hereditary, which was one of the best movies of a few years ago. Hereditary is not only scary, man, it's dark and twisted. So I'm like, I saw the trailer of this movie, I'm not watching it. She's like, no, it's not scary. I'm like, I saw the trailer. It's not a horror, it's not scary. Aye. For anyone who hasn't watched Midsummer, please do not watch Midsummer. That's my advice.
They're gonna watch it.
If you have not watched Midsummer, it's got beautiful imagery, speaks about Swedish culture. I think it's a bad movie for Swedish tourism because now anyone who wants to go to Sweden is going to think twice. How I wanted to link it here is there's a community, like a cult, but Gogo White, not black like me and the Penuelist. At the age of 72, you have to end your life. You climb up a mountain and then you have to jump down onto this rock where you splatter yourself. And the one old woman falls down, splatters, her face is crushed, it opens up on the screen. And then I think her husband follows suit. This is not even assisted suicide. This is suicide while your community is watching and praying and, because they say you mustn't live past 72. The husband jumps, smashes his face, breaks his leg into pieces, but he's not dead. So then the community, there's 3 people that are sent to go and finish the job with a huge hammer. So they pummel his head, one at a time. But anyways, obviously that's dark, but we speak about movies. Assisted suicide, when people add value to life, when people want to call it, you speak about a ruler. If we are saying people should not be allowed to exit life, they're like, it's my life, I've had enough. I can either take my life or I can move to another country far away where no one knows me, but it's almost the same thing. If we're saying people can't choose when to exit, why do we choose or allow people to choose to bring more lives
that they can't support,
that they maybe even can't support? So there's a very interesting.
When I see, so you shoot umdende. You've seen. We went to a place where there's like 22 people, ne?
Yeah.
22 people in a 4-room house, and out of that 22, 15 on social grant. 15, Baba. Come on,
they're
man.
running a racket.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. Here's my point about exiting. Ne?
You were speaking about suicide, you were speaking about Thanos, because you were speaking about...
the suicide one, the suicide conversation.
I spoke about Thanos because I was speaking about bad people and the agenda and the people that run the world.
Guys, there are 2 things that you must never run away from. And the founder of Amazon speaks about it.
Jeff
Bezos, even in Ego is the Enemy, Stoicism. Never fight the future. So that's the first thing, because you're going to lose as a human being. You are going to lose. Doesn't matter who you are. Never fight the future. Irrelevant who dictates what the future is. You're going to lose. That's the first thing. And never fight principles of existence. And what are the principles of existence? It's hard work. You're going to suffer. You're going to suffer. It's a fundamental truth. Since the beginning of time, if there's one thing that has remained truth, is that you're going to suffer. No human being is unique. So if you are born into a world that has got these 2 factors, and even fighting the idea of the future, you know that you're going to lose, man. If you're like, no, I'm like this, man. I'm going to stay in a hut for the rest of my life in this rendezvous. But man, you're going to lose. If the world dictates for you to survive, there are certain things that you need to do. If you're at a point where you cannot do those things, you leave. Like, why are we painting this fairy tale about living? Because the world requires certain things that you have to do to survive. My man, if it hasn't worked out for you, I think you leave. I think it's okay to leave.
I've got issues with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let me address the issues first. Don't fight the future. Sounds good on paper, but I think we can always sculpt a future that we want. Mm-hmm. And to me, that means fighting it, because now we're speaking technology, the United Nations World Economic Forum, we're moving to alternative energy, we're moving into artificial intelligence. I think we actually can fight and we can win. You obviously need to accumulate a lot of money, become very powerful, but I think you can fight the future. So I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But I think I understand this thing of the future's coming regardless. So you have a choice to embrace it, which I don't know if that's what they're saying, embrace the future, or you have the choice of sculpting it, which also means you're embracing the future, but you're saying it won't just be a future where I accept.
Yeah.
I will be part of if that's what they're saying, then I fully agree. The second part was saying there's fundamentals or there's principles of existence. I believe there's principles of existence. One of them being you have to eat. You have to shit. You have to sleep. A human being can't be awake forever. You have to breathe. Once you stop, if I hold my breath for long enough, I die. I have to breathe in and out. For most human beings, they need other human beings and elements. When you speak about an example being, we're all meant to struggle, I love it very much. I think part of life and the joy of life is struggle.
Yeah.
Because it's in struggle that you find meaning through the challenge. You find the answers, you find out who you are, what you can handle, what you can't handle, and you have an ability to actually prove to yourself that you're intelligent. Because if you're overcoming struggle after struggle, you're like, well, I think you pause. And you're like, I didn't know, because other people committing suicide because they failed matric, because they couldn't get a job, this one, I almost made a bad example, man. I'll make the example, because I guess I was going up in the levels. I lost a child through a miscarriage. I've been gang raped. And you're that woman who's like, but I've overcome all of that. I failed matric. I never got a job. I lost a child and I've been gang raped. But I'm here. And it's like, maybe I'm a superhuman. You know what I mean? So I believe in the beauty of struggle. But I don't think in the current form that we have the world, that everyone has struggle. They may have their own version of struggle. But Paris Hilton being an heiress billionaire, I don't know how much of a struggle in the real sense of the principles of existence that is.
Yeah.
If you are a poor person who gets a child grant, who gets an RTP, who gets I don't know if that really falls into the realm of struggle. But the point I wanted to make was this. What were you speaking about now? Struggle, the principle, exit. What I don't like, whenever I'm confused, I always refer back to animals, the animal kingdom. It gives me all the answers that I want. Is death bad? Is murder bad? And I'm like, well, animals murder each other, so, okay, it's for food, so I understand. Those ones murdered each other because of territory. I'm like, oh, if the animals are doing it, I think murder can make sense. Animals do not, by and large, offer welfare to other animals. The lioness will hunt and the cub will eat because they're young. But then they have to learn how to hunt themselves. Vultures, of course, they scavenge. Other animals scavenge. So they live off the work of other people. But scavenging also has its own, it's like crime. It's like hijacking. You don't just walk into a car. You have to get a gun. You have to plan. There's some skill involved in those type of crimes. Cash in transit heists. But the animal kingdom, if you can't outrun the lion, your dad leaves you and you get eaten. If you as a grown lion are not hunting, you don't eat. The pride isolates you and you are lamba. Human beings have created this weird world where if you cannot afford your existence through hard work, through struggle, through resourcefulness, through maybe theft, through travel, through education, and you're just like, ay phela mina, we've created these systems where other people unwillingly have to take care of you through their tax and social welfare. Because to what you were saying, if we're going to say, if you can't struggle with life, exit. In the animal kingdom, you don't exit. Nature will ensure that you exit.
But I think
with human beings, if you couldn't feed yourself, if you couldn't feed your kids, if you couldn't, your kids will die, Baba. You know, part of my issue when people start saying, if you don't have money, you shouldn't have kids. I get angry. I'm like, we can't narrow down having kids to money because our forefathers and our ancestors had kids without money. What you should be saying is if you can't sustain your kids in whatever way, you shouldn't have kids.
Sure.
But we shouldn't have to say that. It should happen naturally. It should be like, Baba, if you can't feed your kids, we're not going to give you a grant and what. You're saying Kingeni. So I hate the fact that outside of suicide is like, hey, I've tried to hunt, I will be. We're saying the world as it is today just doesn't allow for the weakest to naturally disintegrate.
And you know how many people are challenging existence from a suffering point of view? And me and Q always speak about it. Ma 2000. We always speak about that. There's a high number of depression and suicide taking place with AMA 2000. And you know, over time, I'm like, but why them? I don't know about our generation, but we see it more frequently with them. More frequently.
It's getting worse.
It's getting worse.
Our parents were stronger.
Yeah.
Their parents were much stronger.
Yeah.
We are a bit
there's-
weaker, but we laugh at Ama 2000 who are even weaker.
So, and you know one thing that I've realized about them, because we work with them a lot on set everywhere.
Abu Q.
Yeah, Abu Q.
Ama 2000
Abu
had a
Yenzi.
depression.
You know what I've found with them? They are challenging that idea. You see that idea that's so obvious to you and I, that we
That
need to
struggle is
suffer.
life, and you must own it, and you must overcome it.
They are challenging existence. They are challenging, why should I suffer? Why can't things just happen?
Yes.
And their minds can't fathom it, man. There's a weird thing that's taking place. They just can't understand. Like, but why?
It's what we were speaking about, the world.
Yeah.
The world has... A girl now is like, no, I must bleach and meling totally bless. Where are you seeing that? You're seeing that from your celebrities, your influencers on TV, on social media. The next girl, okhule emakhaya, okade thezi inkuni elanda amanzi, and she knows I need to work. Otherwise, we don't eat. So when she sees you, she's like, "Uthole phi imali? Oh, there's a guy who just sent me an e-wallet. What did you do for him? Oh, nothing." And you're like, no, that goes against the principles of existence. I try now, Joe Rogan said it before, but it is stoicism. Joe Rogan says, one of the coolest things I found out about life is that struggle is good. And I explain to people that are going through depression today, that are a bit miserable, I'm like, but one of the things I had to realize was struggle exists, struggle is never ending, and the whole point of existence is for you to overcome struggle and find joy in overcoming the struggle. The people that get that right, they end up going out looking for struggle. They're like, oh, I've made R1 million. You're like, what bigger problem can I solve? You've just beaten up Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is a bad example. Mike Tyson. Floyd is here. Floyd is here, baba. Tyson is here. So Mike Tyson will beat this guy and be like, okay, that was tough. I want tougher. Because what happens when you go for the toughest struggles, of course, it puts you at risk, but the reward is so much higher. You're solving problems, you're making more money, you're becoming something special. And that's why leadership is like a curse. Because leadership is for people that find joy in the pain of trying to solve other people's problems, even when those people judge them. You're letting us down, we're waiting for you. It's like, so you guys really need me as the ANC to solve the problem. Like, how powerful am I? And as soon as you embrace that, there's a quote I've said, it's about parenting and about adulthood. Because people like saying, hey, adulting, we're seeing flames. And I've said, adulthood and adulting is easy. If and only if you are an adult. The reason you're seeing flames is because you're not an adult. You're a child trying to adult. You're waiting for the job. You're waiting for your parents. You're waiting for a salary increase. That's why you're seeing flames. The reality is other people are like, and you're like, but are you not? They're not panicking. I don't know what to do. My child is, you're a child. And that's why when the next person, the one who's embraced struggle, they get excited. And you call. My brother and I speak about this because Jordan Peterson speaks about it. In the time of crisis, do you not wish you're the person that people come to? Like, it could be anyone else. We're struggling. South Africa is poor. What will we do? And everyone is pointing fingers out there. Don't you wish you were the guy?
Yeah, man.
Where they're like, Pen, we're struggling with jobs. Let me see what I can do for this employment thing. When there's criminals, when there's barbarians at the gate, don't you want to be the guy who gets the phone call? Okay, I might die. But I'm the guy.
Barbarians at the gate.
I'm the guy that they're calling.
Yeah.
It's me. So when someone's child is sick, don't you want to be the doctor that can heal? That means you as a parent can learn basic medicine. If there's criminals coming into your house, don't you want to be the police officer? Don't you want to have a gun and learn how to fight? If there's unemployment in your family, don't you want to be the guy that can build businesses and absorb unemployment? Like, don't you want to see the struggles head on? And this is why I think Afrikaners in South Africa are like the chosen tribe for what the South African identity should be. Amapunu love outdoors. Ipunu comes from his mansion. And on the weekend is fishing. He can go and buy at Ocean Basket. No. Ek gaan my vis vang. He's fishing, so lapho uyakhanda umlilo and he braais, and then he's going to sleep outside in the wilderness in a tent. Why, Baba? Why don't you just Uber Eats to what you're saying about Ama 2000? Ama 2000 are like, my Wi-Fi network is not pulling. What are we going to eat? I need Uber Eats. Ipunu says, let's go catch fish. Let's go and slaughter something and braai. They walk barefoot. Eskangen. They swim in winter. They're out there in khaki. They're out there getting the sun, vitamin D. Another reason why Ama 2000 are seeing flames, because they all want to be lighter. And when you're paler and lighter, you have a deficiency of melanin and the things that give you confidence. And it's the reason why white people tan, so that they can be healthier. Amapunu go out there and they do that. And we see it now in Orania. And the leader of Orania, Karel Boshoff, says, one of the things Afrikaans people realized after the end of apartheid was we relied too much on black labor. That was our mistake. Oof. They don't acknowledge a whole lot of other mistakes. They say part of the mistake is we realized we relied too much on black labor. That's why Orania for them is self-doing. We want to do for ourselves. So all the houses in Orania are built by white Afrikaner hands. The solar farms that they've built there, the dams that they've built there, the farming that's happening there is from white Afrikaner hands, because they realize this is us. If you ever play rugby, there's certain positions, flank, locks, the guys that get stuck in the edge. Yabo makshayiswana there in rugby. Tushwana. Amapunu live for that. Umuntu omnyama wants to chill on the wing, umapimpi. Ufuna unqaka ibhola gijime ashiye wonke umuntu hamba yolibeka.
What if they're faster, man?
Ipunu's like, Baba, I want to be in the engine where the real men are. Osiya Kolis. Melube mkhulu ke lapho, Baba. You're bleeding, stitches. They not only do it, they absolutely love doing it. They're like, I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to get into the cage and do cage fighting. What's happening? It's burning. It's like, no. Yeah, and you're like, no, but it's off. And you're like, no, I might. But if not me, then who?
Yeah.
Now you want the Russians. You want why not us? Tinasoma pain. Like, struggle is necessary. Struggle is exciting, man. Like, lions could learn how to eat fruit. Lions could learn how to climb and blow banana. But lions are like, I want to hunt someone and hunt them down and tear them apart.
Yeah.
And rip them and have blood gushing, and the buffalo must kick me in the face. But if it falls down, Baba, the entire lion pride will be like, hey, the buffalo is look, from a masculinity perspective, it's the reason why we admire certain men.
Yeah.
It's sad that we've narrowed it down to money today, but I think 50 Cent still keeps it real, because 50 is about the money, of course, but it's also about, Baba, physically.
Yeah, I see you, Baba. Yeah.
You and I can also go outside now. And in terms of the strap, I'm strapped.
Yeah.
If you want to talk bullets, let's talk bullets. And that's like the ultimate level of masculinity. Can you provide financially? Can you defend physically? Not Uti, I protect my family. I've gotten an alarm system and we can call the... No, I'm the alarm system. I'm the person that gets called. And at any given time. And then the last one for men is the ability to hook the ultimate woman. Can you get the best chick? I have tried, but it's just like, no thanks, I've got a boyfriend, get away from me. I was like, hey, how are you? Hi, Jay-Z, how are you? It's like, hey, you can imagine the mindset 50 Cent has. He's been shot, he's made money, he's created creative media, power and the like. He beefs with everyone like a sub-muntu. And I'd like to think at any given time, you can look at Jay-Z and be like, Beyonce might not leave you, but I could flex really hard and get her to at least think about it. But I can tell you now that if you and I had to get Beyonce off Ipupa, shame, Baba. You'd have to say goodbye to her today. Because it would be game over for you. So
I want to go back to what you said.
Adulting is easy.
Yeah.
Parenthood is easy.
Yeah.
Making money is easy. If you have allowed yourself to go through the struggle to earn the stripes, to be called an adult, and not just because you're old.
You said something fundamental there in the beginning. The reason why these 2000s are depressed, I mean, making an assumption. They don't love hard work, suffering, pain, and all that stuff.
They've been taught to hate hard work.
Yeah. So, but you said something about the girl Osamakhaya. So is the issue what you consume then? Because they're not consuming this nonsense. They don't have data. They know what mother, father, uncles, aunts have said as truth. That's what we do. The one in Jozi, it's the parents, and then there's the phone.
iPad. Small kids. Not only are they on the iPad, but they're not outside, which means they're not getting sunlight. Which means they're not exercising. So they're weak physically, but they're not running. I want to already say too many things. During my varsity years, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. One of my favorite books, not because it speaks about money, but because it altered my mindset on money. And in changing my mindset on money, I started questioning everything else. Because if I was like, if the money is so important, and Kiyosaki sees money like this, what about other aspects of life? I read this and then I started following the Forbes rich list, and then I started reading up on business cases, case studies. And I realized that a lot of these self-made billionaires have gone through hard times. Yeah. India, the Eastern Europe, where guys become billionaires, starting from strip clubs, selling drugs, and then eventually they befriend presidents and they own gas, what. If you look in this country, it's just sad we never had a similar story. But you wanted the taxi owners, the guys who run butcheries and funeral parlors, in Kabi. They were meant to be the billionaires because they've earned their stripes in terms of they have the heart of a lion. I realized that you cannot get to certain levels of greatness without burning in the fire. And I remember going home during those holidays. I spoke to my brother Penson and a very close friend of mine, Zamani. And I told them, guys, we're privileged. My mom is a single mom. She's a school teacher. Their mom, Uzamani, was a school teacher. The father was doing construction. But I was like, we're privileged. We're not rich. We're not, but I was like, do you know that with the privilege we have, we'll never get to a certain level until we suffer? Yeah. And because we don't have it naturally, we are going to have to manufacture it. I spoke about Amapun. Ipunu, to be honest, on a Friday. Malia Spanin, he leaves his car and he takes the paki to work. So that when he knocks off at work on Friday, he doesn't go home. He's already packed the tent and the fishing rod and the what. They manufacture struggle. So from there, I started manufacturing struggle for myself. Okay. I started hawking sweets and chips and what in town. Some of the kids I grew up with from school that knew I was a head boy. Oh, Penuel, what's happened? Is everything okay? Oh, faith. I sold my ice lollies in the taxi ranks. In Petit Baguette, I went to buy juice. I put it in our nice suburban fridge. I'll take away all it. I can't imagine. I ranking. To run. At night, me and Uzamani, I had a nice Rhodes overall. We took my mother's Toyota Tez. Safari price stand, we had a big, heavy steel price stand. Drove to a Kaya lounge, which is like a chillas in town. Put a price stand there, shy charcoal, shamavos. Why? We're privileged. We're not hungry at home. We don't need money for school fees. We don't. It's because we're trying to build ourselves into becoming something.
It's what those things are teaching you as you're doing them.
So your question is about content that they consume. And you're right. My answer is you can curate the content. So ingane yasemakaya, khona ingane zasemakaya who have a little bit of Wi-Fi somewhere, free government Wi-Fi or bathenga data. Bangena go Instagram bafuna ukubona uBonang. Then there's a girl who watches Bonang and then she's like, if I want to get to Joburg, I need to hustle. And she pushes. Thola imali yetex, hamba yohlala eGoli, sebenza emakhishini, ahamba yosebenza lapha, ahamba yo, is there an agency, tools or act, akayazi kahle English. Ahire isho ko Gomora. Apushe kuleyo Gomora siyaqala abantu, the other girls here bayajima, baya mele ngibleach. She's building. The next girl ugcina nje emakhaya would watching this thing. Or she just lives that tough life. The reason I left business, by the way, or I left hardcore business with some of my mates who are still going hard, tenders, other contracts in private, trying to build businesses. I wanted to make money because I wanted to focus on creatives. I love writing. I like the idea of making music. I like making artworks. I love conversations. I wanted to do that freely without stressing about money.
Okay.
And I thought, let me go make the money so I can enjoy this. I realized that to make sustainable money, that's a lot. It's not necessarily how much I make, but who I become. And the problem, when you realize with Trump, who was a couple of $1 billion in debt, it's because it becomes something. Once you become that thing, ungawa. You're in the newspapers, how Deb's our tribal media house has collapsed. He's 200 million rand in debt. What? Ngihlangana nawe, ushaya ikota. Say, pen, Ukraine. How Deb's? Hey, I'm sorry, I heard about that. Like, are you not stressed? Are you not depressed? The next person would commit suicide. And you're like, but this, it's just money. It's just a company. No one's killing me. No one killed me. I didn't build this business off fronting and PE shares. I didn't build this business because my dad gave it to me. I had a lucky break. I built it because I earned my stripes. I know why I flopped. And I know what it will take for me to rebuild it.
Yeah.
It's probably going to take quicker than before because I now know the shortcuts.
Experience, no.
So the reason I left business was because I wasn't willing to become that thing. Because inevitably I would have lost who I am now. I was going to go and become a big entrepreneur. Shama tender njengabo Leroy Sidambe nabo not Oscar. Edward Sodi. Well, those are the accusations on social media. Abo Sodi, Abo Leroy. I was going to become those guys, but in the process of becoming those guys, I would have been like, I now have to take a step back from social media. I now can't post controversial things about alternative sexualities and race, and I was going to maybe need firepower to protect myself. I was going to have to make sure I protect my stakeholders. The flights I'm taking every week to go and meet with people, my morals and I would have made money. I would have been happy. I'd probably have a nice mansion. Maybe I'd be dating influencers and pretty girls. But I wouldn't be this. And people are like, Pen, Donna, you used to be a writer. That was a long time ago. Our Pen, hey, when I was fundisa Facebook, because I'm now converted into another animal. I've become a lion, where before maybe I was an owl. We speak about owls that they love to teach and they're wise. And I said, I don't want to lose myself. So I now need to try and find ways to monetize doing what I love. It's a sacrifice I've made because I enjoy who I am. I would enjoy who I became, but when I was at the crossroads, same with acting. I left the TV film industry when I was coming up. Featured on Generations, on Penuel, you know. I was going to be the guy. Autograph, you know. But I looked at what it takes to become Spusiso Lomo, and I was like, I don't want this. This is not what I want. And I'm going to be reading scripts every day. I'm going to not be able to travel. I'm not going to, you know, kind of. So I decided to go on this path. For Ama 2000 and for their parents and for their older siblings, us, who have a view of the real world, it's important for us to begin telling them to curate what they watch. So you're on social media, but you're watching The Liver King. I don't know if you know The Liver King. Lift heavyweights. If you ever get on Instagram, Liver King. They look up guys like David Goggins, who believes in embracing your darkness.
Hell yeah.
And struggling. Who ran 100 miles with broken shins. They listen to the Joe Rogans and the Jocko Willings. There's still social media, but the content that you're consuming sculpts your mind. You're following stoicism. You're watching the Afrikaners build up Orania versus whatever Mocha Love is punting, whatever Mzansi Magic is showing. And so curate your content and then get out there. Also, you can't fight the real world on a phone. The phone is just for content and education. Then you need to go hike. You need to go camp. You need to go fight. You need to join up to a mixed martial arts class. And you're going to be scared. I used to be scared of tackling when I started playing rugby. By the time I got to varsity, just like Lama Punat and Kulmangao, I used to love tackling. I wanted to count how many tackles I made in a match and which ones were spectacular. Konamang Shai spectacular, Baba. Slega namachita afterwards. And people are like, are you not scared? I've been playing rugby for like 15 years. When I started, I was scared, but I built myself into becoming something. And that's me.
Damn.
We're shutting it down. 1 hour 30.
Damn.
Shut it down. Let me say this. I'd like to thank yourself for this platform. You sent me a WhatsApp last week or this week.
Last week.
2019. Where you was it a WhatsApp?
Yeah, it was a WhatsApp.
Screenshot.
Yeah.
Where you were speaking about us creating this platform.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here now. Because of a myriad of reasons. The platform, the Penuel show is doing really well. We're going to have amazing conversations, but you foresaw this. Last year, 2021, during the looting, we started playing around with the Khomotso at the time. We created some dope content.
Yeah.
We're here now. I don't know how you feel about being in front of the camera, but we need to have these conversations.
Sure.
Q, who does a lot of amazing work with the editing. Sizwe, who does amazing work behind the scenes. Khomotso, who does amazing work behind the scenes. What you've built Tribal Media House to be. At the time of shooting this, you've got 4 reality shows on television, mainstream. You're going to go bigger because you're not here for the money and the fame. You and I is pushy hobo life, brother. It's push up kotain, you know.
Sure.
You're a workaholic, and I think it shows even with the people you work with that you're very much about Sizo Span. It shines through your dad. I've met your father, and you've said, my father just believes in span and graft. I just want to thank you for this platform. I want to thank you for the fact that we shooting in 4K, nigga. 4K, nigga. And people have picked up that the quality is there, and it's, for people that may not know, this is better than most American podcasts shoot on. You know, it's TV ready. It's every platform ready.
Yeah, I know.
And we've got a vision to go bigger and better.
Yeah.
I know DJ Spoo's got a vision to create a great podcast network, and I speak to him about that, and we're doing work as well.
Nice.
To build that. But I know you and I had this dream, and I'm so glad and honored that we're here now. And I'm so glad that the reception is better than I anticipated. And I'm glad that the reception is exactly how you anticipated it. Which, of course, nigga, I knew this was coming. And we're getting a lot of love from people. So thank you for this. And I look forward to us building this platform into becoming something very, very special.
Thank you.
And shout out to Tribal Media House, your company. Shout out to Kieran in his absence, who was part of the building of Tribal Media House. Kieran Penuels.
Penuels, yeah.
Sure. I just wanted to make sure of the S at the end.
Yeah.
And just the journey you and I have had in sculpting each other's minds. You're a great mind. You're a great thinker. I still want us to speak about movies and film and the power of film.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I wanted us to speak about, and this is a challenge for us when we sit down again. I wanted us to speak about your experiences at AFTA, working with Offense Moase and Unel Siwe, and OM Films, and the brilliant work that they're doing globally. The Hangman, which was nominated for an Academy Award, for fuck's sakes.
Sure.
I wanted us to speak about where kids are missing it in South Africa.
Okay.
And why Tusombedu has to go to Hollywood, and why Charlize Theron needs to go to Hollywood, and why Arnold Vosloo has to go to Hollywood. And the idea of bomb productions and what they did with Yizo becoming a game changer.
What they're doing with Shaka Zulu now.
What they're doing with Shaka Zulu. And the fact that you and I know Peter Thiel, 0 to 1.
Yeah.
And Peter Thiel said it, if you want to be the next Bill Gates and the next Mark Zuckerberg, you can't be building a software company and a social media platform. You need to be doing something unique that's a monopoly. And I don't like the fact that people are looking to reimagine Ushaga when there are so many amazing stories that we could build. Just off African stories, just off Ukredo Mutwa, Indaba, My Children. We could build our own Marvel, DC, universe, comics. We've got stories about some of the warlords in the Eastern Cape. No one has created, besides The Gods Must Be Crazy, which is a comedy, no one has created a something like the Avengers of the Koi and the Sun, which becomes phenomenal. And just like District 9, you like Neil Blomkamp, I think, get Peter Jackson to produce.
Yeah.
Like the next Shaka Zulu, as epic as it was, is not going to be a remaking of Shaka Zulu. The next Yizo is not going to be a remaking of Yizo. The kids at After needs to stop doing this abstract fucking psychedelic cock that they do. And they need to document some of our amazing stories. The story of Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah.
The story of the other side of who's doing the sensational movie on Verwoed. And what the vision was for apartheid, and get an angry black person who lost family members during the struggle to be like, was Verwoed a bad guy? I think, you know what I mean? Like, we've got amazing stories we could tell, man. We've got amazing actors and actresses. Palens Dladla, Stumo Mchali, Nomzamo Mbata, Brenda Ngoli, Zolisa. What's Zolisa's surname? Aluva. He was my favorite actor, man. SK Koza, even though Asmazi, what he's going through now. But amazing actors and actresses. You know, and it's like the platform. It's part of the reason why I also left the industry here.
Okay.
The pinnacle of South African acting is being a main on Generations. That's the pinnacle. Outside of that, it's not like how movies are blowing. You'd have to go and become a Tusombedu. I would have to have left to go to Los Angeles, Hollywood, and try myself out. And I when I look at the quality of Amapiano, when I look at the quality of our social media skits, shout out to Ufesh that you've worked with as well. Shout out to Utafaya. When you look at the quality of that, like, you're like, there's nothing holding us back, dog. And I know you're doing reality TV now, but I know you can go so much higher in the content that you're creating, but it's going to require collaboration here and collaboration internationally. And there's no reason why we can't build a Korean industry. My mom loves Korean movies and series. There's no reason why we can't build an industry like the Japanese, the Chinese,
French.
Hollywood, the French, Spanish movies.
Yeah.
South Africans don't even know what they're being deprived of. There are movie makers around the world outside of America that are sensational. And Hollywood steals a lot of concepts. They steal a lot of the talent. This week I rewatched The Prestige. One of my favorite directors, Christopher Nolan. Hugh Jackman is from Australia, went to Hollywood. Christian Bale, who is the Batman, is from Britain. Christopher Nolan is British. Christopher Nolan normally casts Michael Caine, who is British. Salma Hayek is not American. Sean Connery is not American. Idris Elba is not American.
Most of them.
You know what? Like, it's Nicole Kidman is not. Charlize Theron, who is Hollywood royalty, is not American. Like, even the guys that have built in Silicon Valley are immigrants. They like we're gonna need collaboration from around the world. And anyways, I was just giving a shout out to the Penuel show and to the team. We hit 20,000 subscribers quick. We hit over 1 million.
Quick in a hurry.
They don't know what's coming, and I'm excited about the dope conversations we're going to be having, because
there's going to be more.
I always have to remind myself that I'm not here for views. I'm not here for money. The person who got me onto podcasting was Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan Experience. And I want to send a shout out to Joe Rogan. And Charlemagne, DJ Envy, Angela Yee, The Breakfast Club. Joe Rogan is a purist, and he never had ads on YouTube. And he went long form, which people are like, no one is going to watch a conversation for 3 hours speaking about science and aliens. And he proved that the world is more intelligent than you think. People are hungry for intelligent conversations. And whenever I'm confused, I always go back to, I'm not here for money and fame. I'm not trying to be cool. I'm not trying to interview the coolest celebrities and what's trending. I'm here for genuine, dope conversations and to shift minds, because like the people who run the world, my goal is to colonize as many minds as possible. And people maybe won't see it now. Some will. I'm going to colonize minds of some of the people that you guys fear. And you'll hear them start speaking about Penuelism. You see them start wearing black. You'll see them, and it will be a fat joke.
We're all wearing black here.
It'll then filter down to some of the institutions. And that's how we're going to make the world a better place, through platforms like this.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I mean, Caesar, you done, bro?
Shout out.
Shout out.
Yeah.
You know who saw the numbers when a pen? It's Q. I said we're going to reach 20,000 by December. Q is like, hide, man.
He said 30,000.
He said 50 by December, this guy.
Yeah.
No, I said by October we're going to reach 20K.
He said 30. 30.
No. Remember,
You said 50 by December.
By December, no, we back this, you know, man. It's not bad, okay.
How much was the pay? 1,000? Yeah, I owe him $1,000.
So, in like, actually, I said, I tell like,
It's like, no, I increasing at 20 before October.
Yeah.
And the day October October, it was like 20. Come on.
It would be nice to do conversations like this with the team.
Yeah.
And you guys can hopefully come on camera on a regular.
We can do something.
And we just do not a post-mortem because it won't be dead, it will be alive. But we'll do
live mortem.
A live mortem. We'll do up just a breakdown of like where the show is.
Yeah.
Maybe speak about some of the interviews that you guys enjoyed, some that you thought were a bit boring, certain things that influenced you, some of the comments maybe that I read that we've had issues with sound that we've tried to fix. We staying on carpet, Spongy tribal media, we've had carpets and the like. So it's gonna be, I think those conversations would be pretty dope. Sorry, shout out to my mom who's here, who I'm meant to be interviewing, but she was too scared to come on, but she's gonna come at some point. We're still live, mums. No, we're still shooting. Jobupi is umemeza at the back there. Umemezela ma Korean BTS. Oyithanda kakhulu. Ngicela kwi microphone. I don't think we'll be able to pick you up. No, ngicela la angeke uvele. Angeke sikuzwe.
I'll increase your mics.
Iratle da.
Okay.
Ngicela usondele ngapha uzokhuluma la. Angeke uvele, but mawufuna ukukhuluma ngoba angeke sikuzwe, it's going to sound bad.
You'll hold it for a lady at you. Sure.
So something that I like, nikhulume ngokuthi always, whenever they want to make movies, they think of Shaka Zulu, South Africa. Always Shaka Zulu, always Shaka Zulu. Why don't they come out, maybe for example, a movie about Herzog, so that people can know who was this Herzog? Because at school, whenever we write essay about Herzog, we write in quote, always in quote, Herzog, var staan ek. Ek staan op de kaffer se kop. So that people can know the history that we learn at school. Not always Shaka. Shaka used to say bulala. If you are lazy, bulala yena. You see, I like that idea.
Yeah, and we will make sure we have those movies. It's us that are supposed to do it.
Yes, about to Herzog, about to fair vote.
Usuwoma phile, usuready ukushaya interview.
Ngiyabonga.
Bazokuza ukuthi awusushaya magogo at the back. They don't know what fire is coming. Sizokuhlokoloza till the.
But yeah, no, thank you, man. I guess for me.
Thank you, Q, for the belief, dog.
Yeah, no, Q saw it from very much far. I think some of the people must bring here are women, the crew's girlfriends and the people that they speak about, because they don't like you.
They don't like me?
No.
The crew?
The crew's people that they speak to, like other chicks. They're like, I shoot the Penuel show. Like, I think they must come and have a conversation. Sis?
That's right.
But that's the danger. That's the danger of language. The fact that bazohamba la sesibachamile and they'll become our fans. But that's how you win people. Trevor Noah says prejudice does not hold up well against contact. What does that mean? It means normally people who are the most racist, the most tribalist, it's because they haven't spent enough time with the people they claim to hate.
Exactly.
To realize that they're human, they have their own struggles, they have their own what. So bring them. We'll be very excited to host them. I mean, I'm always happy to catch hate. It helps me gain perspective and to learn. And look, they might have very valid points. Always happy to learn other perspectives.
Yeah.
No, everything's good on my side. It's been a pleasure.
We're out.
Shut
We're
it
out.
down.